Well, hello, good evening for everyone. Glad to see some our permanent viewers. Today we'll be talking only in English. It will be fun if we have absolute majority of our permanent audience, but it's okay because we have never done streams like this. There were some streams in English that we conducted previously together with Jack Aaron and only with him, yes. And we have some videos in English with interviews, typing interviews on Socionics and Psychosophy. Some videos I have recorded previously, but it is the first stream. So please, okay, the reaction is okay. I hope that there is sound and video and everything is okay. I have no permanent practice in English, so sometimes I maybe look up some words in the dictionary to express my thought. Everything works nicely, thank you. Very good. Where is Bream? I hope so that he will appear. It's okay. Please write in the comments where are you from, what country are you from. It will be interesting to see, because I obviously see some our Russian fellows. Guten Abend. Good evening. Okay, that's fun. Where are you from? From Germany? Russia, of course. I called this stream when I posted in World Socionic Society group. I called this stream Russian Invasion into Western Socionics. Okay, Russia. From Mexico, very good. Kazakhstan, Latvia. Kyrgyzstan, post-Soviet Union countries. Yeah, we have many people watching us from former Soviet Union countries due to the language that used to unite us all. Russian language. United States, very nice. Siberia. Okay, that's very good. What will be happening today? Ural is here. You're talking about Ural as if it is a separate country. It's a very large region in Russia. Okay, my cat Fitulka came to say hello. She always takes part in all streams and typings that we do. So she always trying to get into the air. Today we're gonna speak about some questions about socionics, about psychosophy for our Western audience, because the information about modern socionics, about socionics in general, is very scarce as far as I can see. Oh my god. Thank you very much for donation, Isabella from Tetra Pak. I hope so. I think it is inevitable. Sooner or later we will publish someone in English, because some famous people that we type are known as well in Western countries. For example, we typed recently Jordan Peterson from Canada. He's very famous psychologist, and the result we got about his socionic type is ethical, intuitive, extrovert. So I think some famous persons that are well known in the West, I think it is worth to do some videos in English about these persons. I think it's very fun because this donation service, as far as I can see, cannot read in English. That's fun. Peterson, yes. So if you would like to ask some question, I will be very grateful if you do donation, but nevertheless, I will ask some previously prepared questions that I have in English. Yes, many people agree with Peterson and many people agree with his position. And as well, they are our audience because I think we have some things in common in our political views and in our social views. Better makes sense for him. Yeah, maybe we will talk about all these things and criteria that exist in Socionics. But first of all, as I promised, I have to announce our result concerning Laura, her interview that we published 5 days ago. Laura was published 5 days ago, and we asked everyone to suggest their versions of typing. There were some versions that very close to us, to our version, and there were some comments that proposed even the same version as we did. So we got the result ethical sensory extrovert from Alpha Quadra. Many people suggested sensory ethical introvert for her, but we decided finally that she is an extrovert because she has, according to our methodology, the majority of aspects she manifested were extroverted. And she had black sensation. And if for some time we even thought about the variant sensory ethical extrovert from Gamma, but finally we got Alpha Quadra. Yes, ESE, ethical sensory extrovert from first quadra. Yes. That's good. So as far as I know, she had typing in World Socionic Society, with which I had some contacts before, and they had very similar result. They had sensory ethical introvert result. It is very close. It is a mirror type to ethical sensory extrovert. So I think it's okay. It's much better. It's not such a big difference between these people, between these types, but in some details they really differ, and we take into account those details, and we finally came to extroverted type about her. Eduardo, hello. Hello. Her dream, was it her dream to be ESE? Will you explain why? I have to give some moments about our methodology of typing. First of all, I don't know how much information do you have about that, so I have to explain some moments. According to our methodology, we type not according to behavior. We are typing not according to stereotypes that really exist in Socionics, in our Russian-speaking Socionic directions, and of course in Western Socionics. I see all those memes, all those jokes. They are mainly based on stereotypes, but at the same time I see many posts on Facebook about Socionics. They are serious posts. They are suggesting some discussions and so on, and they are also based mostly on stereotypes. So we do not type people according to stereotypes or some images of type. We use method that is based on semantics, and according to our methodology, all the information that a person provides while he answers our questions of our questionnaire. Thank you very much for your donation. I'll try to show our second cat if she would like, because our second cat is an introvert. This one is an extrovert. So our introverted cat strictly avoids all the streams that we have. If we are planning or making a stream, she hides somewhere until the stream ends. So it's quite a difficult task to catch her and to show her, but I'll try. If she will be somewhere here around, I will catch her. The extroverted cat is here. Everything is okay. So let us continue about the aspects. So when a person is replying to questions or describing pictures that we have in our questionnaire, he or she is giving informational aspects when a person is speaking. And according to our theory, and according to initial theory of socionics, we just use it very thoroughly to some extent. You know that there are 8 aspects in socionics. Half of them extroverted and half of them introverted. We have special signs for that aspects. Extroverted aspects are marked as black signs. Black logic, black intuition, black ethics, and what else? Black sensations. Black sensation. And as well we have white aspects, which are introverted as well. So when we listen to this or that person, we take into account the color of aspects that a person manifesting during the interview. And of course, we also pay attention to the aspects which are manifested according to model A, but not very strictly. What do I mean? For example, if we are choosing between 2 types, SEI, one of the leading versions that was given by our audience and by some people, and our result, ESE. These are 2 types that are very close to each other. They have similar functions in ego block. And what is the main difference between 2 types? These 2 types. SEI is an introvert, and it is not very natural for this type to manifest black sensation in speech. This function is on the 7th position according to model A, so this function is not manifested. It is not natural for such types to demonstrate this limiting function. It is also called limited function or something like that in English. 7th function. At the same time, if we have type ethical sensory extrovert, it is quite natural and very often we can see that this type can manifest black sensation, because black sensation is on the 8th position. If we take model A for ESE, so we have 8th position black sensation, and it is okay to manifest this function in speech. So Laura had majority of black aspects in her speech and in her replies, so we got ethical sensory extrovert. And there were many other signs that gave us the conclusion of extrovert. The majority of extroverted aspects, black ones, black sensation that was manifested, her descriptions that were given. It is a very important sign and very important feature as well. If a person replying to the questions, how wide is the situation that is being described in the answers? Extroverts have much more objects that they described in their speech. For example, if we're talking about the question where a person should tell about some trip, vacation, and so on, introverts have much less scale of description in their replies, and extroverts vice versa. So all these features taken together give us the extroverted type. Snake from trousers. Ignoring functions. Yeah, thank you very much. It is okay that we have the majority of people here are Russian speaking. It is okay because our channel was not intended initially for foreign audience, so they get together on some other places. But nevertheless, it doesn't. It is okay if someone will be watching this video in a record later. Now I'm speaking not only for you, but as well for those people who will watch this video later. So it is okay. Laura is here. Hello, Laura. Yes, yes. Laura herself gives feedback that ESE is much better for her. It is also an important sign when a person gives his or her feedback. So that's very good. Alpha in Cosmos. When are you planning to talk about Psychosophy? We will talk about Psychosophy today, a little. Of course, I have some questions that have been asked previously, and some questions were asked today, and I think that they will be interesting for our audience. And one of them is here. Now we can share and explain our English-speaking friends some things. Yes, I think it's very good, because there are many. I think I will start from this question. This question was asked previously. This is the question. I posted it in chat. Why do you prefer modern socionics? Modern socionics, one person asked. You know, it is not a question of preference. We prefer, me and my colleague Catherine, we prefer modern socionics because we have created it by our own heads, hands and minds. It's just happened like that. I'm involved in socionics since 2006, 14 years already. And unfortunately, Catherine does not speak English yet. Her English is quite poor at the moment, but I think the situation will improve because we have some considerable number of typings in English, socionics and psychosophy, and this number is slightly increasing. So Catherine, I think she will have to learn English, at least in understanding. So the main question is why do we prefer modern socionics? We just not prefer it. We just use it because we made a very long way, a very long path. Socionics appeared 40 years ago, about 40 years ago. It happened, and from the moment of its very creation, it started to divide into different various directions. Every author that came to socionics every year, it all started in 1985 when first scientific conference took place in Kiev. There were some people who were very interested in socionics, and many of them started to create their own directions of socionics. Some of them still exist. For example, humanitarian socionics by Gulenko. He is one of the person who was one of the beginners of socionics in 80s. And every person creates its own version of socionics, its own understanding. And I told in previous videos that I have 12. I have 12 versions of my socionic types given by various people who consider themselves specialists. So according to various versions of socionics, there are such different results. Why does it happen? There is no universal socionic methodology now. And every author is trying to say that his version of socionics is the most correct, the most good and cool. None of the alpha quadrants were found, so typing had to look for. We were not searching for alpha deliberately abroad. It's just happened that Laura sent her video to us, and she turned out to be ethical censor extrovert from alpha. So that happens. So there is no universal methodology in socionics. So when you go to different socionic schools and directions, you will get different results, different types finally. because every socionic believes that in his own number of features that are necessary to type this or that person. Some people rely on behavior, and there are many socionic schools that do like that. It is some kind of behavioral socionics. For example, if a person does this and not doing that, he might be some type. We do not type like that. We do not rely on behavior because we believe that behavioral patterns are mostly connected with psychosophic types, while socionic type is about information mostly. But if we are taking into account behavioral strategy during the many years, only this strategy can fit into this or that type, but not as a final argument. We shall and we must analyze the semantics first, and then we look to the biography of this or that person. Strong delta, it's a meme. Finally, white censor. We have some interviews with white censors, but these interviews are in Russian. Do you have an opinion on using EEG for socionic typing? I think there should be done a very great research before doing that, because socionic type is located somewhere in brains. But if we are looking at the brain, we will not find strictly here is white sensation, here is black, and so on. It's very difficult to make such a bridge. But I think someday it will be done. It will be done by someone. Now it's too early, because if we will search for connection between EEG and socionic type, we should decide first according to what socionic school we will take type. So what type will be final? What type will be correct for this or that person? If we have a person, a human being, that was typed in 12 types, so what type is correct? And what connection shall be found with the brain? And which of 12 types will be correct? That is the question. So that is very important. During the years, I have been involved in socionic professionally for almost 10 years already, and during this time I had numerous propositions from many people. Why don't you do some research of socionic type and neurophysiology and so on? We should make socionic typing methodology working first. This is the point number one, and later we shall search for some connection with traditional science. So far it is a non-recognized psychological direction, socionics. Maybe in the future socionics will become a direction that will be accepted in traditional psychology. There is no any restrictions to that, except administrative restrictions. And some people just don't like socionics from traditional psychology. I faced this problem numerous times. I have education, psychological, and my diploma work was connected with socionics, but I was lucky that the environment in which I defended that work was very loyal to such innovative things. But I had many arguments and talks with traditional psychologists who do not like socionics at all. And in most cases they have just prejudice against socionics, and they have no any relevant and modern information about that. What type in Psychosophy of Laura? I don't know. We haven't typed Laura in Psychosophy. I can suggest that emotion shall be somewhere high, but it's only a suggestion. It's not the final result. The problem with modern socionics, I guess, is the ability to understand white logic. Yes, to some extent, yes. We can use socionic in politics. According to some information, socionics is already used in special services, in intelligence, and so on. Does your socionics school believe in the concept of quadra values? Do you tend to relate motivation? Motivation is a very complex question. It cannot be put only within psychosophy or only within socionics. Motivation consists of many components, so we do not relate in such a strict way. We do not use motivation of person as a typing method or as a typing feature. At first we identify socionic type, then we identify psychosophic type, and for example, if we give some consultation about choosing a profession, we of course take the question of motivation. It is combined from both types, socionic and psychosophy, because there were attempts in classic socionics to suggest some strict four motivations for every type from every quadra, but it does not work like that. The real situation is a bit more complicated, so to say. The concept of quadra values is a bit overrated, as practice shows. The main thing about that is every quadra is being divided into two parts, two halves. For example, if we take gamma quadra, there are intuitive types there and ethical types there, and they can have strictly contradictive positions and worldview, and they can even fight against each other while they are all from one quadra. So this concept of quadra is a bit overrated. We do not use it as a typing method, but of course we see some tendencies on large quantities of people that have been typed. We see that some of them do have those quadra value features. But according to our observations, quadra values can be distinctly taken, and they can be seen only about 60% of cases, not in 100% cases. About 40% of people do not have any brightly manifested quadra values according to their socionic interview or answers to our questions. So it's not always possible to see that classical socionic quadra values as they have been presented before. So it's a bit overrated feature, but it really exists. It does. Solo streams. Catherine will definitely make some solo streams. How known is socionics in general population in Russia? Many people have heard something about socionics. We have very poor image of socionics among Russian-speaking people, because in first decade of from 2002 till 2010, there was a great wave of popularity of socionics, and it was pretty much freak socionics, and these freak socionics just printed in mass perception. So many people still think that socionics it's like a crap for teenagers. It's like a cosplay and something like that. People are calling each other some strange terms. They're considering themselves Don Quixote, Hugo, Robespierre, and so on. So the image is very poor, but I think that socionics is known to several millions of people, because, for example, we have a social network which is called Vkontakte, the same as Facebook is popular in the Western countries. Vkontakte has such an application about socionics, and there are 1,100,000 people there who just made a simple test. So they heard the word socionics. What do you have? How do you consider synergy amongst different systems? There were many suggestions about socionic directions, various socionic directions. Oh, let us gather together and shall make one single methodology of socionics, but all these attempts failed because every researcher has his own theory, has his own understanding and typing results, and that will never disappear. Every researcher has his own ambitions and commercial interests as well. So I think it's impossible to unite some contradicting socionic directions. Nav contact is just VK. Okay. Could you explain how are socionic functions and types related to structure of brain? They are of course related to structure of brain because brain is contains all our psychological features and socionic type as well. He is hidden somewhere over there and we're just looking at the manifestation of this socionic type. If we take as an axiom the words of Jung, and during our practice we haven't seen any exclusions from that socionic type is inborn and it does not change during the lifetime. It cannot be changed. So it is a stable structure that is being inserted into our personality, in our psyche. So it is a very stable structure that has its basis somewhere in our brain structures. So if the socionic type does not change, so it shall be hidden somewhere in the brain. It is a question of very huge research and very expensive research for future. The next question that we have. What is the difference between modern socionics and old socionics? I have mentioned some moments about that. We rely on semantic method, semantic analysis. There were some schools that already used and they told that they have this semantic approach, but the understanding of functions and the understanding of aspects was quite different in comparison to ours. The main thing about old socionics that the initial theory that was given 40 years ago was a sketch. It was not a finished methodology. It was not a finished and proven theory. It was only a sketch, an approximate model that maybe could describe some psychological features of this or that person. And the first socionic enthusiasts believed that socionic type describes the whole personality with his behavior, with his worldview, and so on. So they overestimated the share of socionic type within personality. There is a huge mistake in Western typology, Myers-Briggs, because they call psychological types, they call personality types. That is very incorrect in the very name of that, because personality is much wider than just a socionic type. Socionic type is only a part of personality, because there are many people that have the same socionic type and they do not look the same, they work in various places, they have different psychological features, they have different character, different achievements, and so on. So we shall conclude that socionic type is only a part of personality that describes the information filter that we have. So for example, if we have an ethical type, so people of ethical type will have the most brilliant and the most vast analysis in human psychology and in human behavior, in understanding of relations, attractions, sympathies, emotions, and so on. So very roughly speaking. And logical types will have those questions very poor understanding of those questions. So what else do we have in personality? There are many other things that lie behind, that lie beyond socionic type. So we shouldn't make the same the understanding of socionic type and personality type. Socionic type is not a personality. It's only a part of our psyche and our person. Cat is always on streams. Yes, that's right. Kansas City, USA. Hello. That's very good that United States have launched to our stream. I think that if the stream is going well, I think the second stream I can make a bit not so early, a bit later, for example, in order to have more United States cities. They will be in the morning, or even in the daytime when the stream starts, and thus we can not only have Europe watching our stream live, and America as well. Why is everything so black on the background? I'm just a shady person, you know. I like that everything is black. I like this shady black background. So, but I have green lamp over there. You can see that. It's almost noon here. A little later would be better. Okay. Are measures being made to unite the socionic theories? Such measures were made many times, and all of them failed, because every discussion of socionic differences gets into the ambitions of the researchers that have various experience, various results, and so on. And they are silently disliking each other. There is a huge problem among socionics of old generation, because there are many questions to their own types that they present as self-typing. For example, and tomorrow we will have a special closed stream for our subscribers. We will make a detailed analysis of Viktor Gulenko type. Everybody knows, and many people know, that he's telling that he's logical, intuitive introvert, logic from alpha. We are strictly disagree with it, with such type, and we will give our analysis. Why do we consider him to be another type? He is logical, intuitive extrovert according to our socionics, and according to moreover, it's very fun and it's very strange. He is describing things, and he is giving such a replies in his interviews that strictly contradict with alpha values according to his own socionics. According to his own socionics, he does not fit in alpha logics, but nevertheless, he positions himself as logical, intuitive extrovert. So there is a problems with types of these old school socionics. Yes, Eduardo, I agree with you. Gulenko, logical, intuitive extrovert, he's definitely from Gamma. He has black logic as a basic function. And there is a huge one more moment that I have to tell for you. There is a very great misunderstanding in all socionics, but it's not only misunderstanding. The old school socionists just didn't have the information that we have today. According to our version of socionics, we call it modern socionics to make a obvious difference. We made a discovery that was supposed previously by some socionists, but it was never formulated as we formulated. The quantity of quadras most likely seems not equal. There is no such thing that you are going somewhere outside and taking random people, and there is no equal possibility that it can be any type. we have noticed that one of the dominating quadras in society, and it as far as we see right now, there is no dramatic difference between various countries. Gamma quadra is dominating in politics, mass media, pop culture, sports, and in every sphere that is connected with money, with economy, and with social influence. Gamma quadra is dominating in these spheres. It is the most remarkable quadra, and most likely it is dominating in quantity. So there is no such thing that every person has equal possibility to be any type from the 16. Most likely that alpha quadra is not doesn't have 25% of world population. Most likely that quadra has maybe less than 10% of population. It is a hypothesis so far, but we are quite sure that quadras are not equal in quantity. And it is very reasonable from the point of view of survival of mankind, because gamma quadra is creating all the necessary things, the economy, food, production of various goods for the existence of our civilization. So gamma quadra is, it is not accidental that this quadra dominates everywhere, and it is okay. I haven't met such an idea in any old socionic theories. We made this discovery by ourselves, that gamma quadra is dominating according to quantity. So the next thing and the next problem that we have, gamma quadra is very widespread. We have logical intuitive types in gamma, and many of that types are very curious. For example, they are easily interested in new theories such as socionics, and many people from gamma who are logical intuitive types, Jack and Balzac they are called, they type themselves as alpha logics. So this mixture and this mess between alpha and gamma is very often can be very often met, not only among Russian-speaking socionics, but I see the same situation among English-speaking socionists. Let us see what is happening in the chat. Angela Merkel, I have only suggestion that she might be Jack London, according to her policy. Like many other political leaders in Europe who have liberal direction in their policy. In most cases, they are Jack London. So what do we have? What about delta and beta? How common are they in terms of distribution? Beta is met according to the theory of initial theory of socionics. There are central and periphery quadras. It is a very important feature that divides all quadras into two large groups. We have central quadras gamma and beta, who are more competitive than periphery quadras. That is why in all competitive spheres such as politics, mass media, business, production, every sphere that contains money and competition. So in these spheres, central quadras are mostly can be found. Gamma, first of all, and some beta types also can be found there, but not so often. What concerns periphery quadras, it is a mystery so far. We do not know what is their share in society. Because for example, our statistics that we have.
How will the Socionic types match? Or how will the Sychesocic types match?
Yanis, thank you very much for your donation. I will ask it. I will ask it a bit later. Now I'm finished my thought. So it is a mystery about periphery quadras, and according to our statistics, we, me and Catherine, my colleague, we are making typing together. We have different types according to Socionics, and we always make typing together in order to decrease the possibility of a mistake. So we have certain statistics of types of people that have been typed by us, but the majority of these people came to us in according to intertype relations. We are from central quadras, and most people that come to us have some close values and have some close quadras to us. That is why we have beta, we have gamma, we have a little delta and a little alpha. We do not know exactly what can be the measure of periphery quadras. So it is a mystery. But the only thing that we see that gamma is absolutely everywhere. It is the main quadra that produces all the material goods that we have and that is needed for survival of our civilization and for development of civilization. So gamma is extremely important. The question by Yanis: what plays a bigger role in relationship? How well the socionic types match, or how well the psychosophic type match? What concerns psychological compatibility between people? It is important in equal. I think it is equal important what socionic types the pair has and what psychosophic types. Because, for example, we have certain experience and people come to us, couples come to us, not only single persons. They come to us for typing. They know their socionic types from us and psychosophic types as well, and we give some consultations for them. So as far as we see, and according to our research and observations, people that have stable couples, for example, they are married, they have several years of common living under one roof, the most stable couples have neutral or good relationships in socionics, and they definitely should have 1, 2 or more good coincidences in psychosophy. I'll look up the word. I'm trying to speak fast. Combination, conjunction, combination. Okay, let it be combination. So neutral or good relationships according to Socionics, and 2, 3 or more good combination according to Psychosophy. They are both important, I would say, in an equal way, because the most stable couples have good combinations both in Socionics and Psychosophy. They are very important, and they show the character of interaction between people from various angles. That is why they complement each other very good. That is why we use both Socionics and Psychosophy for typing and for professional orientation. So what is happening in the chat? By the way, we also typed Barack Obama, the previous president of the United States. He turned out to be ethical sensory introvert Dreiser. He is definitely an introvert, and it was really interesting to type him. Our people who watch our channel order typings of famous people, so we typed Barack Obama. Yes, that's right. What, for example, is a good combination in Psychosophy? There are some principles in Psychosophy that allow to have good interaction between people. It can be quite difficult to explain right now. I have I have a brief article on our website. You can look up to this article by a link under the video. There are some basic moments that have been explained by in Psychosophy. So what do we have? For example, we have type. I will replace P to F because physics is more comfortably to perceive when it is F. For example, we have type physics, emotion, will, and logic. Quite widespread type. So the most good type, the most good combination for this type will be vice versa, like that. But it not always happens like that, and the majority of people do not know about Psychosophy, of course, and they live in pairs, just that pairs that have been given them by their destiny. So there can be one or two good combination. It is very good when people meet someone who has the four functions that have been complemented by each other. F is physics, that's right. So for example, if we have this type, the most good type will be like that. The most good, the most suitable. The next type, which is also good, will be like that. There is a complementation in central functions, emotion and will. Will is extremely important for a relationship because it is connected with the willings of one person and another, and these willings shall be in harmony with each other in order that the couple will live happily and will have good understanding. For physics, not that clear. Okay, so that will be physics, emotion, will, and logic. We have 24 psychosophic types, and they give very good explanation of the differences between the same socionic type, types. For example, Viktor Gulenko is trying to replace this difference and to understand, to explain this difference with his 4 subtypes. So he has 64 types finally. We think that it is not very productive, and the combination of socionics and psychosophy gives much more good effect finally. Psychosophy is much better and gives much more necessary details to explain the difference between the people of the same socionic types. For example, we have Joanne Rowling, who is the author of Harry Potter. We also typed her. She turned ESI as well as Barack Obama. So Rowling and Obama both ethical sensory introverts, but they have very different psychosophic types. Barack Obama has logic, will, emotion, and physics. Sorry. So Obama has such type. While what about Joanne Rowling? She maybe has such type: logic, emotion, physics, and will. So they are both ethical sensory introverts, but they have different psychosophic types. So that is very important, because psychosophic type shows in which way will you manifest your socionic type and which spheres can be suitable for you. And the strength of will, for example, gives you potential for being a leader, director, president, and so on. And if a person has first or second will, he will definitely have some management skills, leadership skills from his early childhood. Psychosophic type is inborn, just the same like socionic type, and it does not change during the lifetime. List of celebrities? No, unfortunately, we do not have any list of celebrities. We only have our playlist on our channel because we don't have time to make this systematic, to make a list. We have too much work for typing, so we just don't have time to make a certain list. And this list will be very relevant to our methodology because, for example, we have a great deal of gamma representatives among famous people, but we almost have no representatives of periphery quadrants among famous people. It is not accidental as well, because if you are from beta or gamma, and if you have will somewhere high, you have much more potential to become famous to some extent than in comparison with periphery quadrants. Logic emotion among writers. There were many and are many writers that have logic and emotion. Emotion, if we take fiction writers, emotion shall be higher than fourth position. Third emotion is also okay. There are many people in art, in literature with third emotion that are famous. According to Rowling, it is only a suggestion. It is not a final version. What concerns Barack Obama, it is the final version because we really got enough information to type him. Justin Bieber, that's right, he's also ethical sensory introvert. Justin Bieber may be or physics, will, emotion, logic. So that's very fun. So if we take socionics, for example, Obama, Rowling, they are all ethical sensory introverts. So how can we explain the difference between them? I think this example very obviously shows that socionics does not describe the whole personality. There are many other features that are very significant that make them different, make them different realization. And psychosophy shows from other angle what sphere can be most suitable for this or that person. But nevertheless, socionics, in combination with psychosophy, do not explain and describe all the personality. It is very important to point out. Every methodology, every typology shall be used for its own purposes and within certain limits. We cannot describe and explain the whole personality using only typologies. There always will be something beyond. Yeah. Robert De Niro, we haven't typed him, so I can say definitely. He is very highly likely that he has black sensation somewhere in his strong functions, but it's only a suggestion. It's not a final conclusion. We haven't typed him. It's very, it's very dangerous. We have many times got into the trap of first impression, or just an impression about person. We have impression that this person might be this type, but when we start typing him, there are many surprises that can happen. So it's always necessary to check the semantics, to check the type according to full procedure to make a good conclusion about his socionic types. How many first emotion people do you know in art? There is a certain quantity. There are many famous people with first emotion in art. I wouldn't say that they are very widespread. I would say that second emotion is more widespread in art, but first emotion always takes its own position in this sphere, so it is okay. High emotion needs to be realized somewhere in the field of art or in entertainment, for example. We have many resources nowadays and many YouTube channels, TV shows and so on, where entertainment is the main source of income for these people. So entertainment is a very important thing, and high emotions can realize themselves in these spheres. About Aushra, it's a very difficult question. About Aushra, I cannot say something definite about her socionic types. About her socionic type. She might be from Alpha and might not be from Alpha, so I'm not sure. Quentin Tarantino. Yes, we also typed Quentin Tarantino, and he turned out to be logical, intuitive extrovert, Jack London. Jack London with first wheel, it's very important. So I will write that. Will, emotion, logic and physics. We typed him according to both typologies, socionics and psychosophy. And for example, we have another logical intuitive extrovert, Steve Jobs, who has high will, definitely had high will, and low emotion. They are very different. They have very different spheres of realization, but at the same time, they have the same socionic types. Robert Downey is coming soon. We haven't typed him yet. Irina, I would say that our Western audience doesn't know who is Kadyrov, but George Martin is very significant figure. I think that everyone in the West knows that. Tarantino the same in World Socionic Society. Very glad to hear that. I'm very glad that we coincide and that we have some consensus according to some historical figures. But I strictly disagree with the fact that Jack Oliver types many politicians in alpha logics. It's almost impossible to realize. For example, he typed Bashar Assad, the leader of current Syria. He typed as alpha logic. I am strictly disagree with that. He's definitely from central quadras, which have black sensation as a valued aspect. Periphery quadras are just cannot do something significant in this sphere. And the only types, there are only two types in periphery quadras that can be politicians, but in very rare cases. They are Hugo and Stirlitz, who have black sensation as 8 function. Yes. Navalny, but I don't know if our Western audience knows who is Navalny. Churchill will be typed. He haven't been typed yet. So I have some questions prepared, some more questions that have been asked previously. Is that true that the correspondence between the types in Myers-Briggs and socionics occurs more often not one-to-one, but through partial imposition? If so, how it works? I will put the question here. The question about socionics and Myers-Briggs. There is a huge difference in the description of socionical types and types in Myers-Briggs. Myers-Briggs is a more outdated typology because it appeared in 60s, and it has very poor methodology of typing. It has description that consists of behavior description. Some random people have been described as one type, and it has very vague criteria for typing. So there is no, I look up the word. Of course, equality. There is no equality between Myers-Briggs types and socionic types. as far as I can see, according to the descriptions in Myers-Briggs, some types in Myers-Briggs have not been met and have not been described well. For example, ethical intuitive extrovert, which is called Hamlet in Russian socionics, is described in Myers-Briggs like any extroverted ethic. It has no any differences that can distinguish him from other types. And there is this situation happens with many types. Logical sensory introvert is described just like any rational sensation type. So there are many questions to Myers-Briggs. Dichotomy between periphery and center. It is very important dichotomy. It is connected directly with quadra values. The main thing about central quadras is time and fight and resources and danger and power and all the questions that connected with these topics. So for central quadras, it is important to use the time efficiently, to avoid danger situations, and to take into account that the world is not a safe place. And very roughly and very briefly speaking about this. So central quadras take these questions into account. They have that in their scope, in their attention, while periphery quadras do not describe such things. They are living in they live in a safe world, a world where nothing threatens you, while the central quadras are having a thought somewhere in the background or somewhere in front of their eyes that the world is quite a dangerous place, and you should be aware of that. So black sensation valuable gives such direction of attention to some extent. Of course, if we take black sensation types from beta and gamma, they have most attention to these questions. That is why they are often politicians. And intuitive types from central quadras, the same, take into account these questions, but not to such a large extent. Unfortunately, I cannot recommend any descriptions of types. We have our descriptions in Russian, and we provide those descriptions after a person had typing in our center. And if somebody appeals to us in English for typing, I try to make a translation of our description, because we are not satisfied with all previous authors in socionics that gave their variants of descriptions. They have many things too subjective. They have many, for example, Strutievska. It's not a scientific description, it's a fiction. It's a complex of impressions about some random people. Like in Myers-Briggs, it's just a description of behavior of some person with no strict connection with any significant features in type, like aspects, quadras, and so on. Realization. There is no some bright features that have been shown in these descriptions that help to distinguish this type from another. And it is a problem of many descriptions of many authors in socionics. Their descriptions are too similar, and sometimes you cannot tell apart two types. They are described too similar to each other. George Martin is a sensory ethical extrovert, according to our results. We talked about him. We have a video about his type. He is the author of Game of Thrones, if somebody doesn't know. How can someone get typed by us? There is a link under the video. You can download our questionnaire. It is quite easy because our typing procedure can be made from any country of the world. You just need to answer the questions and make a video with your answers. We have many examples on our channel. For example, Laura Her interview was published 5 days ago. It is her typing video that she provided to us for analysis and for publishing. So we do not publish all the videos. We always ask a person if he would like to be published on our video, if we find this video suitable for our channel. The absolute majority of videos that we get, we never publish, and we have no such interest to publish all the videos that we get. You just need to make this video with replies to our questions and send this video to us, and nothing more. You're just speaking English, and it's okay. If you speak English, we can analyze your answers. The interesting moment about typing in other language, we typed people in English, we typed people in Polish, because I speak Polish as well. There is no any barrier in typing, because in every language, as far as we can see, in every language we have the same features, the same semantics, the same function. The logic of Socionic type is the same, and the language is not important. So you can download our questionnaire and read the questions to be prepared, for example. And it is okay if you previously read the questionnaire and later make a video. It is not necessary to write video with one in full. You can make it in parts, so it is also okay. What do we have in chat? People buy left and right because it's hard to get information. Yes, it's hard to get information in English. There is a very little information about socionics in English, and why not just translate Where You Stand and sell it? It's I'm thinking about that, but this work is going very slow in my case, because we have many tasks, we have many type-ins every day, consultancies, making new videos, making streams, and so on. But I'm planning to do some translations of my books in English and to publish them on Amazon and other places, in order that English-speaking people could buy these books and read some information, some modern information about socionics, because that information that exists in English area, in English environment, it is very outdated. It was written in 80s, in 90s, it's not relevant anymore in most cases. So I see that according to the discussions that are in Facebook, for example, I see what people write, what they consider as relevant in socionics, and I see that things that were actual for us, for example, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and so on. So there are plans to do translation of my materials in English. What do we have? Laura writes that she really enjoyed the questions. Yes, it's really fun. Some people find the most fun parts of our questionnaire to describe pictures. It's a very important thing. It is connected with the automatics of our psyche, of our psychological type, and it's very important stage of typing, when firstly a person replies to certain questions and later he describes pictures to make a bit different angle, to get some more information about the strong and weak aspects, to make the final conclusion. As for now, I have 2 books published. They are in Russian. One is devoted to modern socionics, the basics, according to our current understanding. And the second one is about psychosophy, about third wheel, and about the developing of will. You can buy it in English in electronic way. You can buy it in Russian in electronic variant and to make a automatic translation. But later I will make a good translation, not automatic, to publish this book. So what do we have? Donation from Janice. Thank you very much, Janice. Can ethical types become successful scientists? Of course, but it depends on the kind of that science, because we have not only technical sciences, we also have humanitarian sciences, social sciences, and so on. I would say, for example, Sigmund Freud. Was he a scientist? I think yes, but he was a scientist in psychology, and he had ethical type, intuitive, ethical extrovert. Huxley, we call him. So ethical type can be a scientist and successful, but we should take into account the fact that ethical types have much more potential in discovering something about human psychology, human psyche. So in this sphere, ethical types can be really helpful, can be really successful. If ethical type is going to some technical sphere, he cannot be quite innovative in this sphere. Logical and logical intuitive types will have much more potential to become successful scientists, to describe and to discover something really new and revolutionary. Ethical types can be found in that spheres. According to maybe they have some relevant psychosophic types with high logic, for example. There are many people with high logic of ethical types that are involved in technical sciences, but they have certain limit in their abilities. They cannot overcome the limit. Have I returned? Is there a sound? Please write something. Okay. Super. So in what moment had I disappeared? What was the question? What was the last word that was heard? Show must go on. That's right. Finally. Boom, 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 boom. Sound on. Okay, that's fine. So let us continue. I have some questions prepared. Language effects, I've told about that a little. Language is not a barrier for typing. If you know language, you can type in Socionics and Psychosophy, and if you know the methodology of typing, of course. Okay. New, famous, and typed people. Language aspects. There was a question, I will put it into the chat. The question about, since language affects our thinking, that's right, is it fair to say that the translation of Socionics into English can distort information about it? If the translation is correct, if the initial thought is expressed correctly, so the information will not be distorted. The question about Konstantin Batygin, unfortunately I don't know who is that, so I can't say anything for you about this question. Socionic types, for example, vibe of person, movement, voice, intonation, is that more Socionic types or Psychosophy, or I would say neither of that. Vibe of a person is a very subjective category. Many people in Socionics like to type something like that. Oh, he's smiling, he might be ethical type. Oh, he's so clever, he might be logical type. That's rubbish. That leads to many mistakes. Vibe is too subjective category, because about one person, different people can have strictly different impression. And if they type according to their impression, the result will be blurry, the results will be different and not correct and not connected with objective socionic type. So that is very, that categories and that features lie beyond socionics and psychosophy, and it is okay. About Jordan Peterson we spoke a little today. Lenin, Stalin, Putin and Medvedev. Now I will make some Lenin, that are some political leaders of our country, modern and previous ones, so that are their types. And Victor Hugo is not ethical sensory extrovert, he was sensory ethical extrovert from Gamma. We are making work about checking the initial pantheon of socionic prototypes, because as far as I can see in Western socionics and in world socionic society, it is not common for people to use that nickname. Okay, it is not common for Western people to use nicknames from socionics such as Hugo, Robespierre, Don Quixote and so on. They are using just abbreviations. But in our Russian socionics, it is common to use the nicknames. So we are checking that nicknames, and we have many discoveries. So yes, Laura might be new famous. Text stream, creepy vibe. That's okay. So there are many corrections, and we have found many mistakes in old socionics that, for example, it is common opinion about Joseph Stalin that he was LC, logical sensory introvert, but he was in fact sensory ethical extrovert. He had low psychosophic emotion. That is why many people think he was an introverted logic, and it's not correct chain of logical conclusions. Do you agree and use psychosophy archetypes too? Ghazali, yes, we use those nicknames, but we do not mean any connection with initial people whose names were the prototypes. We're just using those abbreviations, and that's okay. We have our own descriptions of psychosophic types. We provide those descriptions for people who had typing at us, and we are giving the description according to our theory, both in socionics and psychosophy, if the typing contained that. So, and we just using those nicknames, but the description has no any connection with the initial prototype or historical figure. Lenin was correct, yes, but it's not a common case. That's very, very important. For example, if the type sensory logical extrovert was called Lenin, it would be more correct, because Marshal Zhukov, for example, who was typed as LC, logical sensory introvert, was sensory logical extrovert, was actually logical sensory introvert. I will give some comments. Marshall was actually logical sensory introvert. Boris Johnson, he is in order to be typed. We have such a program, we have such a service. People donate to us to make a certain sum for typing of a famous figures, and we tell about the results on our streams. So Boris Johnson is in line so far. We haven't typed him yet. I have no final conclusion about his type, and we haven't started yet. We have we have also Winston Churchill in line. LSI, that's why I don't like English abbreviations of socionic types. It's quite difficult to switch from Russian abbreviations to English. More artists. Salvador Dali, yes, he was intuitive, logical extrovert, and it is not very widespread type that can be easily found even among famous people. But I think in the sphere of art there should be a little more people of periphery quadras, in theory. In practice, I don't know. We have too little time to type everyone. So that is the question. What questions do I have? Duality in socionics and MBTI, what's the difference? That was the question. I don't know, I don't remember exactly how was the duality explained in Myers-Briggs. As far as I know, there are some directions in Myers-Briggs typology that do not include intertype relations at all, and they have very vague understanding and perception of how can this type be related to each other. I saw some theories which suggested that similar types can be together, but it was not strictly. Socionics in this case has much more well-worked theory, but it as well was very overestimated in its time, initially in 80s and 90s, because socionics does not give so much. Socionics promises too much, because even if we take duality, it's not the main widespread relations that people actually live in. If we take stable couples, they are often from one quadra. They are mirror types very often, or quasi-identity types, if I correctly name that intertype relations. There is no duality in MBTI. I don't know exactly if there is such a term at all, duality. Do we have duality in Myers-Briggs? Duality is a socionic type, socionic term initially. MBTI talks about sharing letter preferences. Some pick and choose and do cafeteria socionics. Inters, thank you for your donation. It's just it's our cat that is saying meow, and there was no question, but anyway, thank you for your donation. They talk about compatibility in MBTI sometimes, and socionics, while socionics was constructed around this idea of compatibility, and many people believe too much in socionics compatibility. But the compatibility between people depends not only on socionics, but on psychosophy as well, and on personal background from the third side. So not everything can be explained what is happening between people from the point of view of socionics and psychosophy. There is personality, intelligence level, cultural level, and so on. Does the cat meow in Russian? I don't know. This cat does not speak any language except cat language. Sometimes she says "Wurr." Alisa LSI. Are English-speaking viewers aware of all the problems of low will? I think that in those posts on socionics that I saw, they are talking about low will actually, but they are connecting this phenomena to socionic types with painful black sensation, for example. It's a common mistake. It's been duplicated for years in Russian socionics, and I'm sure that Western socionics do the same. They think that if a person has no strong will, then he should have weak black sensation. But these phenomena are not connected strictly with each other. There can be black sensors, black sensation types with low will, with high will, and any kind of will can be. While there can be other types with weak black sensation, but with strong will. For example, there is such an entrepreneur, Richard Branson. He is intuitive, ethical extrovert, and his type psychosophic is will, emotion, physics, and logic. And he is one of the most successful entrepreneurs, as far as I know, before the COVID at least. He started more than 300 of businesses, and he is extroverted ethical type with weak black sensation, but with strong will. So such cases also happen. Catastrophe. That's very good, I think. Make funny videos on his muse in different versions. Yes, our cats both help us with accepting donations. Richard Branson, intuitive, ethical extrovert. So, what are the questions? There's a very good question here. How kind of semantics can do cat? You know, the semantics that our cats give is very scarce, but we managed to discover that our cats are, one of them is extrovert and other is introvert, definitely. And this small cat, which says wow, she has basic black sensation as function. She's definitely an aggressor. So the question is, by the way, all the mammals, human beings, monkeys, gorillas, and anyone, dogs, cats, they have very similar brain structures. So it's very highly likely that all the mammals have socionic types. So it's quite okay when we find, for example, a dog which is introvert and a dog which is extrovert, and the same is for cats, for example. Some cats have very distinct socionic type. Highly likely, that's right. Trump and Johnson. It's okay when people are obsessed with the cat. It's not the worst thing that we should be obsessed about. Semantics of cats. That is the question. That is the topic of our today's stream. So the question is, will there be an explosion if psychosophy is imposed on MBTI? I think the explosion will happen if we talk a little more in English about modern socionics, because even at that level, I have very few information in English on our channel, but even at that level, I remember when we had stream with Jack Oliver, we talked about socionical approach, his and ours, and there were some people, even in the group of World Socionic Society, that strictly argued with almost everything that I was writing. So it is okay to disagree, to argue, to fight, and fights among different socionic directions are very natural in Russian-speaking area. I remember I remember many cases when different schools of socionics fight and fought with each other, and the level of aggression was much higher than it can be observed in English community. But we will see what happens. Highly likely. Laura writes, I think Trump is sensory ethical extrovert. It's highly likely that he is. We are planning to check his socionic type. We just have no time for that. And we are planning to type his psychosophic type as well. He definitely has will somewhere high due to his activity, due to his responsibility that he takes and took in the past. So most likely he has high will, first one or second one. What psychosophic type is Jack Oliver? I don't know. I have no final conclusion about his psychosophic type. He has emotion somewhere high. In stars, thank you for your donation. What type is Elon Musk? It is a question. We have no final conclusion about his type. Previously, we had version logical sensory extrovert. It was the version. But now, maybe a logical intuitive extrovert is also possible, and even more possible than a logical sensory extrovert. So we have no final conclusion about him. We have typed Steve Jobs. Mark Zuckerberg is most likely logical intuitive extrovert as well. In general, logical intuitive extroverts, Jack London, the type Jack London, has very good potential. If he has high will, for example, he has very good potential in creating his own business or in managing some large institutions, large organizations, in politics as well. We are typing our Russian political leaders and ministers, and many of them have this type, logical intuitive extroverts. They are really efficient on these positions if they have high will. So that's very, very important and very interesting, because if we take, for example, some high positions in the government or in the state, among ministers, among political leaders and so on, there are many people from central quadrants there with high will, and it's not accidental. This shows that socionics and psychosophy have very objective logic behind them and in the basis of them, and they show that these typologies are really efficient and they can predict the most suitable area for realization. How much do we need to do Trump? I don't use Boosttube, therefore I can't see the figures. We have no Trump in line so far. We're going to check him without donations because he was interesting to us a long time ago, and it's a question that we shall close to. It's a question that we have to reply without any donations. Clint Eastwood is still LSI. Clint Eastwood might be ESI as well, because we watched some movies which he made, and they contain too much ethics for logical type. For example, Perfect World, it's a movie which is fully dedicated to the relations of burglar or some other violent person. Kevin Costner was role-playing, and a small boy, and they had some kind of father and son relations. So that's too ethical. So there are doubts in his logical functions and his logical type. He might be ESI. Lukashenko is sensory ethical extrovert. Yes, that's right. He is still SEE, and he has been 26 years SEE, and previously and before as well. And that's fine. That's very funny that Putin and Lukashenko have not very comfortable intertype relations, and they are very typical. If we look at them from a side, that's very fun to see that intertype relations. And they both have first will and second physics. Low functions are different at them. That's very funny. So what questions? I think soon I will be finishing the stream, because we're in air for 2 hours already. I got a little tired, but I'm still ready to answer some final questions from you. I want to donate for someone. Who's on the waiting list? Please, somebody tell me the names. If you want to donate for someone, you can donate for Trump, for example, or you can donate for Boris Johnson. Yes, he's very relevant person. Zelensky, he's under the question. He might be SEE or EI or IEE. I don't know. His presidentship is very poor to observe. Yes, somebody from them. Are you missing the running text? Okay, where is it? Oh, here, I forgot to turn it on. Here it is. I have taken the names. Today we have short version of this running text, so the names are only on Boosty. So what final questions do we have? I'm ready to answer them. My brain has final question. When psychosexuality stream? I cannot say. There should be an inspiration for such a complicated topic, you know. What about Smeshariki? The stream about Smeshariki took place a week ago. You can go to our main page of our channel and look and watch the stream. I think when the stream will be when the stream ends, anyone can turn on the automatic subtitles in Russian. I think that Google will manage to translate what I am talking about. Inspiration for psychosex, of course. Such a thing cannot be made without an inspiration, you know. That's very important. There cannot be a strict plan for such things. There should be an inspiration. Psychosex with Smeshariki, that's very fun. Bye bye, Laura. Laura is today's hero. Inspirational vibe. In English, yes, that's very fun. Can SEE be better in chess than ILI? I think yes, if he is more clever, if he has more high intelligence and has much more experience in chess. And for example, if that Balzac doesn't know chess rules at all, he will be better in this. Psychosex. Yes, we have such a meme. We have sometimes we make streams on a certain topic, and many many days and many weeks and months, some of our viewers are asking us to make a psychosexual topic. How do the types are combined with each other according to psychological and sexual compatibility? So they are asking for this topic, and we every time tell that somewhere later, sometime later. Tell us about this psychosex. You know, this is very wide topic. There should be a very long storytelling about that. Easy English today. You can turn on the subtitles only when the stream will be finished and when the stream will be loaded, because some hours after the stream finished, YouTube is doing some magic things about stream, and only at that time the chat becomes available and the automatic subtitles as well. Missing names. Some kind of myth or legend about psycho. Yes, white psychosex from Russia with love. Drunk psychosex stream. You are asking for something that cannot be published in YouTube, you know? There are some other places that make such streams, I think. Running text is missing the names. Oh. People now shouting. So, I think I'm going to finish the stream. There is one last question. Is it easy to self-type in Psychosophy? If you don't have enough information, it will be quite difficult to type yourself. What biases might one encounter? There are many biases in understanding. First of all, you should search for high physics. It's more common for people to have high physics, first one or second one. And try to avoid, oh, Alisa, thank you very much for your donation. Trump or Johnson, and thanks for the stream. Let it be for Johnson, because he is in line. Let it be Johnson, Boris. Now I'm look up to our profile, Boosty. Boosty is the same like Patreon. There is a Western service called Patreon, and Boosty is our service, and it's much better, in my opinion. It doesn't take American taxes of 30 or 40%. So what do we have here? Where is Boris Johnson? Boris Johnson. Yes, that will be fine. Thank you very much. Here is our profile. Tomorrow we will make a closed masterclass with the analysis of Viktor Gulenko type and with the analysis of his thoughts about different directions of socionics. So yes, Trump is gonna be typed anyway. One more thing I should say about self-typing in Psychosophy. There are more often, there are types that can be met more often in Psychosophy and more rare types, so-called. So in Psychosophy there are types that people often type themselves, but this typing is incorrect in 90% of cases. So you should avoid types logic, logic, will, physics, and emotion. Will, logic, emotion, physics. Logic, will, emotion, physics. These are types that are not very frequent, but many people like to type themselves in that types. So if you are typing yourself, only by yourself, and you get some results that are similar to these types, you should be very, very skeptical about this result and try to analyze one more time and to search maybe high physics or something like that. If you will not manage and mix in these psychosophical features, you can come to us and get typing from people who are occupied in this topic for many years. By the way, you can type your psychosophic types not using video. You can fill in the questionnaire in written form. For some people, for introverts, or just for extroverts who prefer socializing with text, it can be more convenient, I think. Emotion, logic, will, and physics, yes, as well. It's a very popular type for typing, but not very frequent actually. What about will, emotion, logic, physics? Not very often met type, but I would say he's not from the first row, the first places in mistyping yourself. Will, logic, emotion, physics. Yes, logic, will, emotion, physics is my type. Logic, will. Is still only my. Every person has a right to consider himself any type. But if somebody appeals to us, we're just typing this person and telling what type is he or she actually is. We don't have any inclination to type somebody in this type or in this type or this. So we're trying to be the most objective, the most as possible. That is okay. So, thank you very much for your attention. It was very unusual for me to speak in English for 2 hours in a row. That's very unusual for me. I haven't spoken in such a manner for many months and many years. The last question. What do you think about Biden's type? He has he has some fatal changes in his brain due to his age, so it's quite difficult. But according to his ideas that he expresses, he might be very old Jack London. Might be very old. So thank you very much. I hope that we will meet once again sometime in such a format in English. Thank you for your questions, for your donations, for your attention. And please write your questions if you are watching this video after the stream. Because if we have enough number of questions, we will make some new videos in English for you and for all English-speaking audience who are interested in socionics and in new discoveries that have been made in socionics over the recent years. So it was very fun to socialize with you in English. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. Good night, goodbye, good day, and good luck. See you later, and with some people we will see tomorrow on our closed masterclass and analysis of Viktor Glenko type. So see you later, bye bye.